Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video you're going to get two replays that I had playing in the ShenYang, the Tier 4 Pan-Asian destroyer. Both of these replays I'm divisioned up with my friend from APOC Umaru, and in both of them she'll be playing in the Karlsruhe, the Tier 4 German light cruiser. And in this replay, we're playing some domination here on the map New Dawn. So, two awesome replays I have for you here in this ship, and I was grinding the Pan-Asian DDs on Saturday, I believe it was, played with Umaru for about 4 hours, and I was able to get from the Tier 2 all the way up to the Gajamada at Tier 7, and I'll be honest with you, I had a freaking blast. I did excellent in pretty much every game that I had, and these two games that you're going to see here were the only two that I played in this ship, and were the epitome of my night playing. So, with that being said, what do you need to know about the ShenYang, and why is this thing so darn powerful here at Tier 4? Well, first of all, we're going to compare it to the Isakaze, which is the Japanese Tier 4 destroyer. And specifically, it's in the torpedo armament. So before you even look at the guns, before you even look at the hit points and everything else, the ShenYang's torpedoes, when fully upgraded, there's 2 triple launchers. You have a reload time of 66 seconds before you factor in torpedo reload armament expertise. The torpedoes have a maximum damage of 11,733, have a speed of 64 knots, and have a range of 6.4 kilometers. When you look at the Isakaze, which is generally regarded as a very powerful torpedo boat in its matchmaking spread, this thing has 3 double launchers. So you have a little bit more flexibility with that, and it's nice to have. And the reload is also much less. It's only 42 seconds, or 1.43 shots a minute on upgraded. However, the maximum damage on these torpedoes for the Isakaze, fully upgraded, are 10,833. So compared to the ShenYang, you have about 900 less damage on a maximum roll. The torpedoes are also much slower, 57 knots compared to 64. However, they up the range by about 600 meters, so you're going to have 7 kilometers worth of range to work with on the Isakaze. Now, the debate, honestly, in ships is, what would you rather have? Hard-hitting torpedoes that reload slow, or mediocre-ish torpedoes in terms of damage, but that have good speed, have a pretty decent range, and have a fast reload? Well, in all honesty, nothing is more terrifying than getting hit by some really hard-hitting torpedoes. I'm sure many a Fletcher captain out there can agree with me when you torpedo a battleship and you hit like 6 or 7 of your torpedoes. The amount of damage that you do is, well, if it doesn't outright kill it, just does an asinine amount. So, it's really nice to have torpedoes that hit hard is what I'm getting at here. And trading only 600 meters worth of range for a lot more speed and a little bit more damage, well, in my opinion, is much better. However, something else about the ShenYang that is nice is that when this ship was given from the Japanese Navy in 1947, the guns that you have on this thing are actually a little bit different. They're 127 millimeters in caliber. It's Mark 7 guns. But the really big thing is, you can see here on screen as I'm shooting, the muzzle velocity, 960 meters a second with these guns. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, you only have a 6.5 second reload, but that's okay. It doesn't matter, because these things get to the target so quickly. You can see that Clemson that is sitting out in front of me. Obviously, he doesn't have his engines going, but look how quickly those shells reach the target. The guy is not even 4 kilometers away, and they get there in about 1.6 seconds. So, ipso facto, these things are nigh impossible to evade at point-blank range if the enemy that is shooting at you, myself in this case, is a good shot. However, something else to compare favorably to the Isakaze is that it has, like I said, a 6.5 second reload, whereas the Isakaze with the same amount of guns has a 12 second reload. And then, of course, it only has 660 meters a second for its muzzle velocity. So what you have with the ShenYang is a torpedo boat that has better torpedoes, and a gunboat that, well, has much better guns. So if you want to call it power creep, I can see the argument for it. I really could. Another thing, the Isakaze has 10,300 hit points, fully upgraded. This thing has 10,600. And then you also look at the maximum speed, 39 knots. The Isakaze only goes at 34 knots. So Really, the only thing the Isokazi has is better detectability, and right there I managed to get a very cheeky double strike, torpedoing the Svetlana, and then using my guns to take care of the Fra Ruang, that Tier 3 Thailand destroyer. Or Thai, I should say, pardon me, that Tier 3 Thai destroyer. So, what you've seen here at the beginning of the game, I went down, I used my torpedoes, I know I was dropping them into the smoke screen, I was trying to catch the cruiser, those were most definitely not for the Pan-Asian destroyer, that Fra Ruang that was down here. Of course, Pan-Asian DDs are unable to torp any destroyer for that matter, so launching them into smoke screens is honestly futile. You're not doing anything doing that. Those torpedoes were definitely meant for the Svetlana, and I was able to finally secure the kill. And once again, you can see here with that, the reload on these torpedoes, yes, it's a lot higher than the Isokazi, but in all honesty, at Tier 4, having a reload that's just over 60 seconds is really not that bad. So, Flamu, I'm sure plenty of you watch his stuff. He covered all of the Pan-Asian DDs, I think, from like 2 weeks to about a week ago or so. He covered all of them. And he said that this thing is basically kicking the Cleveland out of its place as the preeminent SEAL clubber at Tier 4. And he makes a very compelling argument, because when I went through the Clemson, I did so freaking good in that ship, and I really didn't think that it would be possible to do much better than I did when I was grinding through that thing, and well, this ship certainly has changed my mind in that regard. So unfortunately here, I dropped some torpedoes. This is an example of where the Isokazi would be better off with the torpedoes. You can see that there's an enemy battleship, a Kawachi, that was moving through the channel right there. He was about 6.6, 6.5 kilometers away from me when I dropped my torpedoes. You can see that he is still on a relatively straight course. I believe he is veered off slightly to starboard. I'm getting some good shots here on him, at trying to aim for the upper part. And you can see the torpedoes are tracking. They look really, really nice. And unfortunately, they ran out of steam about 300-400 meters away from his ship. So I missed out on a dev strike right there. If I would have waited just a couple more seconds, I would have definitely been able to take care of that guy without too much of an issue. And again, the damage on these things is very, very nice. It'd only take about 3 torpedoes, maybe 4, if I got unlucky with RNG to take care of that Kawachi. But yeah, it's very, very nice stuff with those torpedoes, and I really cannot underestimate just how powerful they are. And like I said, the reload really is not that bad on these things. So at this point, I'm now shooting at the second Fra Ruang that's in this game. I believe there's like 3 of them or something. And I actually had a really bad miss right there. And I believe this salvo, yeah, another poor one. Only 1 shell hitting. But you can see 4.5 kilometers away. Yeah, if the aim is true right there, there we go. Dealing some pretty good damage on that guy. Very, very difficult, almost nigh impossible to get away from these shells. And there we go, some more shells flying in. And because he only has 7,900 hit points currently, I believe that's the stock value for the Fra Ruang, he just can't take that many hits. If I have like 2 or 3 good broadsides, I've already dealt over half of the guy's health away. And again, with the 6.5 second reload, that's not that bad. You can make do with it. Now, would I suggest getting into a close quarters knife fight with a Clemson? No. The Clemson is still going to be the king of, I'd say, sub 4 kilometers, assuming that it's a relatively fair fight. Obviously, I killed a Clemson down on sea at the beginning of the game, but he didn't have last stand. He was a noob, to put it lightly. So I pick up my 3rd kill. I'm up to a very modest 35,000 points of damage, which is nothing too great. But we'll see if we can deal some more damage here as I'm moving on to the B cap to help out my friend. One quick thing, pardon me, I didn't remember to say it at the beginning of the replay. When I was playing this, I only had a 3-point captain. So I had preventative maintenance and last stand on this guy. So that's it. No torpedo reload, no BFT. If you want to get this thing and have a 19-point captain on it and go full SEAL Club mode, then I highly recommend going with Survivability Expert, going with BFT to get the guns performing as fast as they can, and then going with Torpedo Reload Armament Expertise to get the reload on your torpedoes down by about 8 seconds, I think it would be. So, yeah, definitely that's a good build. And then, of course, also having Concealment Expert on this guy as well. My Concealment right now is only 6.4 kilometers, but when you put on that captain skill, you're going to be able to get it down to, I believe, just below 6 kilometers, which is really, really nice. I do pick up the Confederate as I'm getting some more shells here into the Izyaslav, so that's very nice stuff right here. He's got about 4,300 hit points. Umaru is also getting some shots as well, and once again, another salvo that's a bit poor for accuracy. It can be kind of strange to get used to these guns. They feel just like a Moskva if they were on a destroyer, in all honesty. But I do manage to pick up my 4th kill of the game there on that Tier 4 Russian destroyer. And now at this point, I'm going to get some shots here at the enemy Caledon, that Tier 3 British light cruiser. So here we go, getting some more shots at this guy. Unfortunately, looks like my friend Umaru is going to kick the bucket here. She is getting shot at from 2 sides. And I'm trying to see what I can do here, hopefully be able to kill that guy before she kicks the bucket, but it does not appear that that will be the case. She continues to get some more good salvos into him, whittling him down. We also got some friends, the guy in the Phoenix that's getting some shots on the Cleton. I managed to light him on fire right on the bow. He is using one of his heals, but again, because I have the relatively fast-firing guns, he is still going to hemorrhage more hit points than he is going to be able to get back here. And if I was in something like an Isakaze right now, well, 12-second reload on the guns, I certainly wouldn't be able to do this, that is for sure. And now that he's going full broadside, I load armor piercing. And because you have 960 meters a second, you can do some really, really nice damage with the AP. I actually am very unlucky that I did not get a Citadel on that guy, but there will be some in the next replay. However, I pick up my 5th kill of the game to secure the Kraken Unleashed with 9:38 left in the battle. It's now a 4 versus 1. We have all 3 of the caps, and now we're going to try to hunt down this Karlsruhe on the enemy team. So what you've seen so far throughout this replay, yeah, this is honestly textbook ShenYang stuff. And I know this was my literal first game in this ship, but don't be afraid to get on caps as long as you have some team support with you, because if you do, you're just going to be able to deal so much damage and deal so much fear into the enemy team's hearts and minds that it's so difficult to counter this thing. And then, of course, I forget to mention that Pan-Asian DDs get an extra smoke for free. You don't have to run Superintendent, so those 3 captain skill points can be better used elsewhere, in all honesty, if you're okay with only having 3 speed boosts. But because this thing can go at over 40 knots, before you even consider the speed boost, if you just have the Sierra Mike flags on, then, well, it's really not that big of a trade-off, in all honesty. Now, as I come around the corner, the Karlsruhe is on full health. I do have the AP loaded here. Now, I'm a little bit too far away, 4 kilometers, to get Citadels. However, look at the very nice AP damage. There we go, 1,672. I dropped my torpedoes. I'm going to keep peppering this guy with the AP shot. Oh, there we go. 2,300 with 3 penetrations. This Karlsruhe realizes now that he has to angle for me, but I get another solid 2.1k salvo. And then, of course, he goes right in between. I drop a little bit behind the indicator and slightly forward of it, and he turns right into that nice sweet spot. But I still got 5,500 hit points to work with, so it's really not that big of a deal. And there's actually going to be a really funny moment coming up here in this replay. I was streaming with Umaru, and I am neglecting to put in the audio from me when this event happens here in a I think like 30 seconds or so, because it was pretty freaking hilarious. But where I'm getting at with this is I put on the... no, I don't want to spoil it for you guys just yet. Just give me a few seconds here, and then when it happens, I will definitely mention it. But getting some good shots here into Karlsruhe now. Turn him back in. I only got 4,300 hit points, so I got to do my best to dodge and weave his shells. He is getting shot at by both the Phoenix and the Orion, so I got some support here to help me out. And you can see here as I'm aiming on the upper part of the hull on this Karlsruhe, I'm doing some very nice damage and getting a whole lot of penetrations on that guy. He's getting hit by more shells. I light yet another fire on him. His doom is sealed, and hopefully I will be able to get the kill here. One of his guns shoots at me, and right as he kicks the bucket, I detonate. Oh, man. Oh, boy. That was rather embarrassing. So, the reason why that was so funny is because that game, I just put on the detonation modification for the equipment, which is the one that reduces it by 70%. I just put that on for that game, and here I am blowing up right at the very end. But that's okay, because at least it happened at the very end of the game. So, oh man. For this replay, however, we're now playing some domination on one of the lower tier maps, Ring, and now I'm going to compare the ship to the Clemson, the preeminent seal clubber, at least. Well, I guess it was the preeminent seal clubber. So let's take a look here at the stats. The Clemson does have fully upgraded 300 more hit points before you factor in survivability expert, so that's nice. And another thing about this ship, of course, is that when you get it fully upgraded, you get a whole crap load of guns on this thing. It doubles the armament on the ship. So what that means is that you're able to get more shells on target. The ShenYang can get 4. The Clemson gets, I think one of the guns isn't able to shoot when you go full broadside, so you can only get 7 guns going on that thing. on one shot. I don't remember exactly. I haven't played the ship in such a long time. But yeah, you can get like 7 guns on target when you shoot an upgraded Clemson with the guns, which is nice. However, the reload time is 7 seconds compared to the ShenYang's 6.5, so it's a bit slower on the reload. And another thing is that the shell velocity is only 884 meters a second, so it is a bit slower, and the damage on both the HE and the AP is slightly lower than the ShenYang as well. So you do get more guns, however you do lose reload, you do lose shell velocity, you do lose alpha damage, so you do lose quite a few things. And then of course with the torpedo tubes, you have 4 triple launchers on the Clemson, which is a very nice and a very hefty amount of torpedoes to work with. The reload is 66 seconds, which is the exact same reload that you have on the ShenYang. The torpedoes have 11,733 maximum damage, which just happens to be the same. But they only go at 56 knots, so it's 8 knots slower, and they only have a range of 5.5 kilometers instead of 6.4. So while the Clemson is able to deal with targets on both sides of the ship much better than the ShenYang, because you have 6 torpedoes on each side to work with, you don't have the raw you don't have the raw speed, you don't have the range, which is a little bit unfortunate. And while you do have the same damage, well, it's debatable whether it actually is better or not, in all honesty. And then, of course, the Clemson is much slower. It's only 35 knots with no add-ons added, with the Sierra Mike or Speed Boost or whatnot. It is a bit better turning circle-wise. However, this thing does have a little bit worse concealment as well. So, once again, the ShenYang does compare very favorably to the Clemson, in all honesty. It compares very favorably. And having 0.5 seconds better of a reload, you only have 4 guns again, but hitting targets at range is much easier in this thing. So it's debatable whether the Clemson is honestly a better gunboat. It's very nice to have all those guns, don't get me wrong here. But in all honesty, being able to pretty much guarantee hits if you aim correctly on targets at short range is very nice. And as I say that, once again, I'm missing shells here on this Kamikaze and taking quite a bit of damage here, in all honesty. I'm down to already 6,000 hit points here at the beginning of the game. I'm going to fire blindly back into the smoke screen, however, and I do register a couple more hits. Also, my repair is on cooldown, so unfortunately, I am moving a little bit, but if you lose speed when you have your engines knocked out, it takes a lot longer for you to be able to pick up speed here. So I'm in a bit of a pickle right now, to be honest with you, but that's okay. It's 435 to 350. Our team has moved over to the A cap and is also down here at the D cap, which is nice. You can see here there's also an Omaha making a very, very hard push well into the D cap here. However, I'm going to show you a very good example right here of the AP on this Kuma, which is a Japanese light cruiser at tier 4. Loading the AP, I'm now going to move forward a little bit so I can get the shells to go over the front part of the island. There we go. The full broadside is out, and I managed to get 1 citadel and 1 penetration, dealing 2,500 points of damage. Now as he's on 1,200 hit points, I get yet another shot and yet another citadel on that guy, picking up my first kill of the game. And I'm up to about 11,000 points of damage. However, the enemy destroyer is still on the D cap. You can see him. He just got spotted very, very briefly right there. Excuse me. So there's also more torpedoes coming in that I do have to be very careful of, and I shoot quite a bit too far forward there on the Kamikaze. However, his engine is broke, and now that I have found the range and that I have understood what speed he is going at, now I'm going to get some very nice hits on this guy and force him off of the cap. You can also see my friend Umaru is here as well to help me out, and there we go, getting some more solid hits. 3 more penetrations on that guy. He does shoot back at me, and that guy is a very good shot, don't get me wrong. I've taken quite a bit of damage from this guy, so I have to be a little bit more careful now with my hit points. I'm only down to 4,400. Luckily for me, I don't get hit by him, and we will be able to take care of the decap. I'm now smoking up my friend Umaru here. And there we go. We get the assisted base capture. So yeah, things are still going okay. I have to be careful. 1 solid battleship salvo will be able to take me out. Even here at the low tiers, that penetration damage on destroyers is still very much a thing, which you need to understand. So far in this game, the enemy team has lost 4 ships, while we have only lost 3 thus far. So it's okay. Things are still going all right. If we can get this Kamikaze killed here, this will be very, very important for our team. I'm trying to lob some shells over the island, but nonetheless, the Clemson is able to take care of business. So Very good stuff right there. So now with this flank clear of destroyers, except for a Minekaze that is all the way down at J8, I now have a free pass to go into the B cap. However, the enemy's Weho gets spotted. And because this is a double CV game, getting one of the CVs killed, if not both of them, as fast as possible is nice. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should be actively hunting down CVs in a destroyer. When you're playing domination. Your first and foremost priority should be to get on the caps. However, at the lower tiers, because the maps are much smaller, and because, at least in the ShenYang's case, it's so darn fast, going after the enemy CVs is not a bad idea, because you have the speed to be able to get back to the caps. But also looking at the minimap, it's 467 to 371 at the point. They've lost more ships than we have. I have a lot of support behind me that's also moving up to B. We also have control of C. So at the moment, it's really not that big of a deal if I want to go after the Zuiho. Now, I'm not shooting because I want to try to get in a position to drop torpedoes on the Wyoming. You can see, or no, excuse me. Wait, no, that is the Wyoming. Never mind. I was looking at the New York, and I said Wyoming. Very well. I'm looking for some torpedoes here on the enemy Wyoming as he's going around the corner. However, I also have to be a little careful because I will stray inside of my detection range to this Zuiho. And at this point, I realize that, but I'm just banking on the fact that this Wyoming is not going to be paying attention to me. One thing to also note is you can see my surface detectability is 5.7 kilometers. So for the second game that I played in it, I used some captain's points to get concealment on, and then I don't recall what the other skill that I put on was at the moment. Pardon me for that, but yeah, getting the extra concealment, getting it down is very nice. So it's a very stealthy destroyer in that regard. Now getting some shots here at the enemy Wyoming, and now at this point, as I realize that he is not turning, I'm going to go out of my smoke screen and get some shots here on the carrier and hopefully be able to take care of business. My torpedoes are looking very nice on the Wyoming, and of course, since it's a Pan-Asian destroyer, they are nigh undetectable, and there we go. 3 torpedoes slam home into that American battleship, and I get my second kill of the game. I'm up to 44,000 points of damage, and now hopefully I'll be able to take care of this Zuiho in due course. And you can see right there, I take a couple shells from the enemy Wyoming that was behind me. So I'm now down to 2,300 hit points. And I have to be careful not to stray too close to the Zuiho and get within his secondary range. So there's no point for me really to get any closer. So now that my torpedoes are reloaded, I'm going to drop them on him. And there we go. I had a 58-second reload. So the third skill that I had on was torpedo reload armament expertise. So that's always nice. At this point, however, I am still detected. Hopefully the Wyoming shot is going to be off, and his shells will land well to the port side of my ship. And then I am now going to go undetected. More torpedoes going in on the carrier, and I pick up my third kill of the game, up to 65,000 points of damage. I got 9 seconds left here on the smoke, so there's no reason for me to open up fire. I'm just going to wait until the smoke comes and wait until I get my torpedoes reloaded, and then I should be good to go. At this point, it's 682 to 297. The enemy team only has 3 ships left, and 2 of them are right in front of me, so hopefully I'll be able to deal some more awesome damage to these guys. So now I'm smoking up, and right as I get within my smoke screen, I'm now going to open up on the Bogue, and then I'm going to go in reverse and turn back to the right so I can get my torpedoes off here on the Wyoming. You can see that he's moving, so I'm going to drop 1 on the indicator, and then I'm going to drop 1 well ahead of the indicator in case he continues his turn to open up. And also the reason why, as you can see, my friend over there in the Kamikaze dropped torpedoes that forced him to turn to the right. So that's the reason why the second salvo of torpedoes went so far out that direction. Now, because I'm shooting at a carrier here at the low tiers and they have such little armor, this next salvo as shells fall in, I not only light a fire, but I also snag a Citadel on the Bogue, which is nice. And those torpedoes on the left are tracking towards the Wyoming. Another double Citadel on the Bogue. 1, 2, and 3. I pick up the Confederate. I'm over 100,000 points of damage, and my next salvo on the Bogue manages to pick up the high caliber as well. So he's burning on the front end, and now I'm just trying to spread some fires around, hopefully. And this game is absolutely great. And then Umaru decided to shoot at me. I'm not sure why, but it was funny at the time. Another Citadel there. He's only down to 5,800 hit points, so hopefully I'll be able to secure my second Kraken and make it back-to-back Krakens in my first and only 2 games in this ship. More shells are flying downrange at the Bogue. Hopefully we'll be able to take care of business. I put him on 700 hit points, and then Umaru's shells landed just a bit outside, and there we go. I burn him down and pick up my second Kraken in 2 games in this thing, and then the Clemson manages to torpedo the enemy destroyer, and that ends a fantastic game. Alrighty, guys, taking a look now at both post-battle results. The first game, 287,000 credits received and just over 10k total EXP. Of course, this was my first win of the day, and I also had quite a few experience flags going. I picked up Confederate, Double Strike, Kraken, and Detonation. Always a nice one to pick up. About 64,000 points of damage dealt off of 134 shell hits and 1 torpedo. I sank 5 enemy ships, had 3 fires, 3 base defense ribbons, and 2 assisted base captures. Taking a look at the team score, 1,648 base EXP. My friend Umaru came in second with a very nice 1,239. Taking a look at the detailed report, 54,000 damage dealt with the main battery, 6,900 damage dealt with the 1 torpedo that hit, and about 2,500 damage dealt with the fires that I set. Taking a look at the second one, 285,000 credits received, only 9,043 total EXP. I picked up Confederate, Kraken, and High Caliber, dealing 121,000 points of damage off of 86 shell hits and 8 torpedoes. I sank once again 5 enemy ships, had 8 citadels with the AP and the HE, and 1 assisted base capture. Taking a look at the team score, 1,607 base EXP, a very, very solid performance. And then my friend Umaru with 1 plane shot down and 863 base EXP. For the detailed report, 57,000 points of damage dealt with the main battery, but a very hefty 55,000 points of damage dealt with the torpedoes, and about 9.5k damage dealt with the fires that I set. So 2 games, 2 Krakens, 10 kills, 19,000 total EXP, and then I was on to the tier 5. So, yeah, I don't think I've ever had 2 Krakens back to back in my first 2 games in a ship. And, well, I kind of want to buy the ship again, but I also did so darn good in those 2 games that maybe I'll just reside these to my memory bank. But I hope you guys enjoy them watching these replays. And let me know in the comments below what your experiences have been so far with the Pan-Asian DDs. I have another Pan-Asian DD replay coming up for you on Monday in the Tier 6, the Fushan. So, yeah, you guys are going to enjoy that one as well. So with that being said, this is the Sneaky Snake for Brothers in Arms World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, or possibly subscribing to our channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And with that being said, have a fantastic day.